truth seekers, and welcome back to Truth Fed, your scripture reading and end times prophecy podcast. And today, we're back in the book of Daniel, and we're getting close to finishing this book. Daniel's not a very long book. We're on chapter 8 today, and there's 12 chapters in the book of Daniel. But of course, there's actually 2 chapters that are in the Septuagint that are not in your King James Bible anymore. And we'll be reading those as well as part of our study. But today we're doing chapter 8, and basically the rest of the book is Daniel having visions about the end times and things like that. And chapter 8 is no different. The good news is we don't have to ponder too much because Daniel has the vision, and then of course an angel comes and gives Daniel the interpretation, which of course leaves Daniel still perplexed and astonished, which is the same feeling it leaves for most of us. But without further ado, let's jump right into Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw, that I was at Shushan in a palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in the vision, and I was by the river of Ulia. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other. The higher came up last. And I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. And as I was considering, behold, and he, goat, came from the west, on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. There was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of hosts. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto a certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgressions of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulia, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood. And when he came, I was afraid, and fell upon my face. And he said unto me, Understand, O son of man, For at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now he was speaking with me. I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdoms, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding, dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told true, wherefore shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up and did the king's business. And I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. All right, so here we have another one of Daniel's visions. Daniel was given a lot of visions about the kingdoms, and I have to be honest, as I'm reading through them, I don't understand them very well. I think a lot of it's because some of the vision he's having is of stuff that's already passed. Some of the kingdoms have already came and went, I guess, in a sense. But the parts that I always find intriguing the most anyway are the parts that deal with the very end. And of course, he's always told that this is, Daniel, this has to do with the very last days. And this is an account where Daniel meets the angel Gabriel, who comes, Gabriel's kind of like and actually the word angel should be translated messenger, and Gabriel kind of fits messenger pretty well, right? I mean, I believe he was the angel that showed up to Mary and told her that she was going to have the Christ child, and here we see Gabriel appearing before Daniel, and of course Daniel, frightened, falls on his face, he's terrified, which the description of, doesn't give us much of a description of Gabriel, but when we get to chapter 10, there's this my favorite interaction in the whole Bible with an angel that I just think's amazing, and so we'll be getting to that soon. But Gabriel comes and he kind of tells him, what's going on with the ram and the goat, and he tells him that the ram is Media and Persia, that they're the kings, and the goat is the king of Greece, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. And then there's going to be 4 that stand up. 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And then he goes on to talk about the part that I think is most relevant to us. He says, in the latter time, so in the later days of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full. And, I read that and I'm wondering, is this talking about, when the world just kind of becomes evil like it is today, when the transgressors come to full? A king of fierce countenance and understanding, dark sentences shall stand up. So we have this king who's going to rise up, and I believe this is talking about the Antichrist, and he's going to have fierce countenance. He's going to have understanding and dark sentences, and he shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, because I believe he's got the power of Satan. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. In the last days, God's people, it says it multiple times that they're going to face a period of being overcome by the Antichrist. And, that's hard for some people to swallow, but the Bible's very clear about that. It tells us that right here. It tells us in the book of Revelation. So we should not be surprised by that. We should not be surprised that we see this basically Christian Holocaust taking place in the Middle East and Africa, and it's moving, I'm telling you folks, it's moving west. And we need to be on our knees for those people. We need to be begging for God's mercy upon ourselves. But this should not come to us as a surprise, because prophecy tells us this is how it's going to be as we ramp up to the end. But be of good cheer, because it's almost over. And blessed are those who suffer for the name of Christ, right? And so through his policy, and also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. So he's going to be destroying many, but he's going to be basically, it's going to be disguised as peace, right? And I can so see that developing around the world. People will cheer for the murder of Christians, because, well, they're interrupting the peace, because they're not, they're trying to tell us that the way we want to live with our sexual immorality and our murder of babies and our genetically modifying animals and splicing DNA with humans, they're trying to tell us that's unethical. You know what I mean? We're standing in the way of peace in their eyes. Not only that, he shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore, shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. This is not the first time, or this may be the first time it's said, but it won't be the last time it's said, that these prophecies that we're reading in the book of Daniel, they're meant for the last days. They're not supposed to make sense until the end. And then, of course, Daniel fainted. I mean, think about that. Most of us say, well, man, I wish I could see an angel get a message from the Lord like that. Every time this happens, Daniel's so terrified. And this is a guy who's had visions and interacted with God in ways that we can't really imagine, most of us. Yet, when these angels show up, he's fallen on his face in fear. And then by the time he gets done with his vision, it says that he was so sick and that he fainted. And then he finally rose up and went back to work, is basically what it's saying. It says that afterwards I rose up and did the king's business, which is, I went back to work, doing my daily chore, doing my daily duties. And I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. And many times Daniel tries to understand these things, And at one point he said that he's told to be quiet, that it's not meant for him, that he's going to pass before these things happen, that it's meant for the times of the end. Anyway, I hope that you're enjoying the scripture reading and the commentary. I've been really, really trying to nail down exactly what direction I want to go in my podcast, and been praying about it. And I think the goal is to release 2 podcasts a week, a scripture reading podcast, and then maybe one that's more dedicated to a study. Like I'm wanting to do this study on Babylon the Great, and I know I've done many, many studies on this, but I've decided to go ahead, and many of you have heard me talk about this, I've decided to go ahead and try to put a book together on this topic, and hopefully I can get it done, get it out, and get it done quickly enough before it's too late. And so if you would be willing to pray on my behalf, that God would give me the words to write, the ability to write it, and that he would just bless the whole thing, because this is something that's out of my abilities. I'm not a good writer. I'm not good with grammar and spelling, and so for this to be put together would have to be a God thing. But it's been on my heart off and on for a couple of years now. So please pray on my behalf that God would take care of that, because it's definitely out of my abilities. And so if you see this book launch in a couple months, all praise and glory goes to the Most High, because this is not something that I'm capable of doing on my own. So your prayers would be welcomed in that situation. But as I'm going through and putting this together, my plan is to record podcasts on the content that I'm writing about. And so I've discovered some things that I think are interesting that I want to do a podcast on later this week. So my goal is scripture reading podcast comes out on Tuesdays. I want it to come out on a day when you guys know it's going to be there. So Tuesday is the day for the scripture reading and commentary podcast. Once we're done with the book of Daniel, we're just going to pick chapters and stuff. out of different books. We won't read entire books most likely, except for maybe some of the short letters or something. Then I haven't decided if it's going to be Thursday or Friday. Probably Thursday will be the day that I release the longer podcast. It's maybe closer to 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in that range, on a subject, and probably is going to be surrounded around the rapture conversation, the Babylon conversation, the end of days conversation, that type of stuff on Thursdays. So anyways, I just thought I would give you a little update of what my ideas are and plans are. And I just really appreciate you guys for making this possible. I show up and do this because I know there's people who want to hear it. And I know it's hard to get this information at your local church, and I can feel you on that, and I understand that this stuff isn't being talked about. And, pray, for me, because it's not always easy to get this done. Obviously, there's spiritual opposition. And not only that, we're coming into a time quickly when the internet's about to be handed over to the United Nations, and shows like mine are going to get some serious resistance, if not completely just shut down. So, we need to praise God that right now in America, we can still do this. Because I fear a day's coming when that's going to be gone. And like Jesus said, work while it's day, because night's coming when no one can work. So feel blessed that there's men and women out there who are recording this type of stuff. And I'm not praising myself. I'm just saying, right now we live in such a way that the watchmen can do these things. And so I thank you guys for your support, for your prayers, because they're much, much needed. Those of you who are subscribed on Patreon, I believe there's 6 of you. It's about $70 a month. I just want to thank you for hanging in there and doing that, because that makes a huge difference when it comes to paying for, it's nice not to have to worry about how I'm going to come up with the cash to pay for the hosting for the website and the hosting for the podcast, or when I need artwork created or something like that. So thank you so much for those of you who do that. If you're interested in doing that, you can go to truthfed.com. There's a support tab and a donation tab. You hit the support tab, that's how you subscribe, which helps me know how much is coming in each month and what the budget is. There's also a donation button that you're welcome to use if you want to do a one-time contribution. That's up to you. I'm trying to get to a place where I can replace all the equipment, but that stuff costs money. So if you feel led, feel free to contribute there. Thank you so much to all of you. Peace and grace be with all of you. I'll be back with you on Thursday. We're going to talk about Babylon the Great. Some people have emailed me some questions. I'm going to try to answer those, and hopefully it'll bless you. Peace and grace be with you. God bless.